And let's go. I'll stay, but no one else will. I didn't have the best childhood growing up, and in turn, I would get sick a lot. Headache, stomachache, lung problems, throwing up day. Wow, delicious. I was in 3rd grade and loved going to school, but because of these health problems, I'd have to stay home quite often. This happens a lot in my class, like one or two kids a year will have some just generic health problem, and sadly, it's not because they don't like school. It's just because that they cannot go into school. That's basically what happens, sadly. And this was before there were so many regulations and how often a child can miss school, so usually it wasn't a problem for me to stay home or to get sent home. The school nurse was really tired of seeing me in her office every day. I mean, my mom had this boyfriend at the time that was incredibly dirty, and we would visit his mother often. Oh, clean stuff. As soon as you walked in, you were greeted by fleas. Ew. And the smell of stale pissed on carpet. As a 9 years old, you tried being as polite as you could and not say anything. I would just play with the dog and cat until we could leave. It sounds sad, but yeah, I had a person to which I was often going to the house of to try to support her, and like, she was one of those cat lady. There was at least 13 cat inside, and a few more that were just like outside cats she was feeding as well. And the whole freaking house was basically a litter. Okay, cat shit and pissed everywhere. I was dying inside every time I was going there. And one of the goals was actually to support the family that was there. No, it's not Dreg's house. Dreg's only got 7. And like the 7 are like well taken care of. It's 1 cat per human, you know, so it's not so bad. There, it was really a problem. It was insane, okay? Literally, sanity wise. And she had like 5 kids with different dads. It was honestly a full-fledged out mess. When I knew that lady, she already had her last children, being like 17, close to 18, and the last one was already like on a mind to just get the hell out of there. Because, how to say, like, it's surprising to some point. Her kids were not so bad. It's kind of surprising how sometimes there's flower that are able to like grow in the worst. No, that's not surprising, actually. This is what we call du fumier. But like there's some flower that are able to grow in the worst shit. Her kids did not turn out so bad for people living in that kind of environment, but I'm trying to put myself in the place of these kids. Try to imagine going to school every day smelling like cat piss, because like that was so pungent inside that for sure your clothes would like drain in the smell. And so yeah, I tried to help that person to get out of that situation, but sadly, eventually you need to. There's some people that you cannot save from themselves, and that wasn't one of those cases. So up to the nurse I go, and I'm greeted with a sight. I'm not calling your mom again. You have missed way too much school. I shrugged and replied, Mrs. Something sent me here because I'm itchy. He raised an eyebrow and looked over. That's when she found out. Lice, please. A tick. If it could get stuck in my long hair, it was there. And usually in any circumstances, a child would go home, right? Not me. I was told, take this stress ball and squeeze it. When you need to itch your head, go back to class. Oh my god. Hey, I'm trying to think of what the nurse did at that time. Okay, she just spotted a nest of little creepy creature, crawling creature, and her reflection, the way she went was like, yeah, take your nest and bring it back where there's food. Enjoy. She unknowingly malicious compliance. Like, honestly, malicious compliance implies that it's done with malice. So you cannot unknowingly malicious compliance. It's not, it makes no sense. I'm sorry, OP, you don't understand the whole concept of malicious. But let's keep on reading. I went back to class and told my teacher what the nurse had found, and she was appalled at her solution. I sat at my desk crying and tearing apart this stress ball while she called the nurse. Nurse which said I was leaving and that was final, and the principal wasn't taking any action. So for the next few days at home, I do lice treatment and such and go back to school in fear of the retaliation. My mom was so scared of police getting involved if I didn't go to school, and the principal wasn't helping at all. Turns out within a week, over half the class is missing. Each day goes on. Attendance is lowering until finally it's just me and a couple other kids who are seated very far away from me. Eventually the teacher was out with lice. That's so sad. And we had a sub-teach that was instructed to be far away as well. Eventually authorities got notified that half the school was empty, and it all came back to nurse, which they had a lot of cleaning to do. It's so sad. Like, honestly, yeah, but like, even if the nurse was malicious in that situation, I don't think she did it on purpose. I think she did it on, and that's gonna sound stupid, okay, but like, there's some people that are nurse and that do not get the basics of just making I don't say all the nurse, most nurse are wonderful people, okay? Like, the same way that we watch teacher being like, you are doing a job that nobody wants to do, thank you for keeping an eye on my kids during the day, okay? Like, the same way we think that of teachers, same thing with nurse. Try to put yourself in the place of someone that has to provide basic healthcare to people that most of the time do not really want to take them seriously. It's kind of sad, but like, we have bias that makes most human disrespect nurses while they are just trying to do the best they can to do their job. So knowing that all together, nurses are doing like a wonderful job that not many people could hold on out of nurses. Okay, there's a reason why for a long time we considered that to be a vocational activity more than a job. Same thing with teaching. Okay, didn't do that by choice. You did that because you were feeling a calling in the 1960s. So, like, taking that into consideration, this nurse was clearly not oblivious. She knew about the little crawling little things. So that was the worst way to go around that. Clarify something. Hey, that's a high level of ignorance. That's what I have to say for a nurse. I remember though, like, I had one of my ex-employee that was just about to hand her nurse. She was going to school to become a nurse, and she was just about to hand it. And one day she came to me and she was like, "I am pregnant." Not by me, by the way. Okay, like, rest assured. But like, there was absolutely no chance this could have happened. But like, she came to me and she was like, "I am pregnant." And I was like, "Oh, do I congratulate you, or am I supposed to feel bad for you?" Like, just, you know, she was still young, and I was like, is it a planned baby or is it a unplanned baby? Before I go and like, congratulations. Maybe she does not want to hear congratulations. Maybe she just want to hear, like, maybe she just want to talk about that, you know? Without wanting to congratulate her, I was like, was that expected or not? And she's like, no, it was not. And I'm like, oh, okay, so like, you were using condom and like it still happened. And she's like, no. And then you're like, oh, so you're taking the pill? And she's like, no. And you practiced making baby with your significant other? And she's like, yeah. Well, this is not a mistake. This is what happens when you have unprotected sex. Like, this is how we make babies, guys. Oh, I was like, in my head, this lady's gonna be a nurse, and she has no idea how procreation works. So if I ever fall on this woman to receive any medical treatment, you can be sure I'm changing nurse. And it's not because I hate her. It's just, you don't get the basic of reproduction, and you want to provide healthcare. Like, what did you do in your Sec 3? We have in high school 3rd year in Canada, the explanation on like basically how we make babies, how we prevent making babies but still have the fun that goes around it, you know? So we have those talk in school. There is no reason for you to reach maturity and to reach like your adulthood without knowing that in Canada. We are basically forced to follow those classes, and it's a good thing, by the way. I'd rather have she will be an ER nurse. Ebda, think about that. Like, ER nurse, for those who don't know what this is, those are like the emergency room nurse. Those are the one that are receiving people with a lot of different problems, and they have to be able to analyze and scan and have a good idea of what would be the problem, not to make a diagnosis, but to know what is more important than something else. And I'm not even sure I would like for that lady to become an ER nurse, but she's probably going to end up in ER because she does not have... I feel like okay, let's go on that. I feel like this is the kind of job that we should leave to the most competent employees. Let me explain, okay? At the very least, she knows what pregnant is. Yay! She knows that when like she has 2 bar, it's fine, there's a baby. Yeah, no. So how can I go on that? There's a few in most job, like in most liberal job, you will put the guy that is the most experienced to do the hardest job. Okay, so let's say I am a carpenter. The precision job is going to probably be given to the oldest one that has the most experience and knows he's going to do the thing perfectly, and the rough is going to be given to the newer one, which is totally normal. Hey, Tensky Poo, welcome aboard. Wonderful. Where did you find us? And like, if you're playing Warframe, which one is your main? Ching up, by the way. So in most job, the most competent guy is gonna make the most hard job. But in emergency room, as a nurse, the job that is the most complicated is sadly often gonna be given to the most stressful, the one where you need to have a competency to general stuff, like ER nurse, is probably going to be given like to the new one, because nobody wants to work at crazy hour that ER nurse gets. So taking that into consideration, it's kind of like, there's that. There's also in teaching, the worst job, the job with the classes that have some special needs, the job with 3 planification to build, like, they will be given to the newest teacher, because we are over syndicated. I'm gonna say it like that. And like, instead of giving the hardest job to the most competent teacher, the one that have been there for 20 years and know how to deal with kids, we're gonna give that to the new one. And after that, when they will drop the job after 5 years, we'll all be like, oh, but we don't understand why we cannot retain all of our employees. Like, you are giving the biggest amount of work to the new guy because you're supposed to go by ancient, how do you say that? Like, by year of experience to determine like who takes what part of the job. So like, if we have some strong classes, the oldest teacher, which is the most competent, he's been there for 25 years. He's not going to go and take like the group that are needing some particular help, or the one that needs to be motivated. No. He's going to go take the science class, you know, like the group that are already strong in everything they're doing, so that he can feel competent. And sadly, it's been like that for so long that now when you're talking about like changing things with the old guys, they're like, hey, I sift through all this shit. Why would I have to switch things over now? Why would I be the one paying? And sadly, the one I have this argument with are, you'll guessed it, boomers. Like, they've been dealing over and controlling the economy, the politics system, and what goes as being a fiscal advantage for the last 40 years. And when you're trying to bring up change, they will be like, no, it's just because you're lazy. Which, I'm not lazy. I just telling you, it makes no sense that the noob gets to do the hardest job while you, the experienced teacher, always gets to do the easy stuff, like the fun class and the one that are filled with brilliant student. It's totally absurd. two ways to go. Either we balance it out and we go like, it's gonna sound stupid, but like we go and we do this as a draft. I pick a class, you pick a class, you pick a class, and then we go back up top. So at least we're not gonna always pack up all the worst classes with the newest teacher. Like, it's still gonna be the hardest job for the newest teacher, but at the very least, you're gonna have a few pick and you're gonna be able to like not end up with only the worst one. Or, you know, like the picking thing seems so complicated. I cannot even fathom how it would go in very big high school with a lot of French or English teacher, by example. But take out this precise example, and this would make so much sense. There's some teacher that would just deal in between them to be like, okay, I'm taking those 12, you're taking those 12. Is it fine with you? And we're not exactly like what we do when we do a pool for hockey or for football, you know? So making it fair to some point. After that, what's the other one? The other option, I don't know, we go with total randomization. Every year they build some classes and we randomize